Thank you for joining us on the Real Authentic People podcast. My name is Maya.
And I'm Sade.
And I'm Donna.
And we are ran by the Diversity and Equity Center. We aim to be a transformative, anti-oppressive space that disrupts white dominant culture and inspires marginalized students to unapologetically take up space and be leaders and decision makers of social change in our communities.
Here at the DEC, we have 3 affinity programs, the first of which is called Thrive. And Thrive creates supportive and validating spaces for our students to show up unapologetically as their full selves. We focus on developing leadership skills to support Wildcats here on campus and building lasting relationships and connections. Thrive hosts regular gatherings throughout the year around various topics, including community building, identity reflection, self-love, confidence, and cultivating connections with faculty and staff. This is a great opportunity to get to know other Wildcats here on campus. And the second affinity program is called MOCA. And MOCA is dedicated to fostering a supportive community that empowers Wildcats through dialogue, mentorship, and advocacy. We aim to foster a place of community by addressing topics of perspective, masculinity, and vulnerability while providing a space of personal and academic growth.
Our third affinity program is QFAM. QFAM is a support program for all incoming Wildcats. They engage in study sessions, fun activities, community exploration, community building, and forming connections with faculty and staff across campus. We celebrate and affirm one another as we are. QFAM hosts regular gatherings throughout the year such as Q Art, Q Cafe, QFAM, Pride Day, and many more. This is a great opportunity to connect with other folks across campus and meet folks in your corner. Here at the Diversity and Equity Center, we also offer 2 other programs, the first of which is called Culture Corner, which is a place to foster discussion around socially relevant topics.
The second is called Find Your People, which is a space to collaborate with student organizations and clubs across campus to facilitate community building opportunities around certain identities. How are you guys feeling? How are we doing today?
You know, I'm here. Period.
Yes. We had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Sade. Happy birthday, Sade.
Birthday to ya. Okay, no
Thank
copyright
you.
though.
No copyright, though.
No copy.
Okay, sorry, I am gonna dive us into this.
Yes,
low-key.
yes.
I wonder if for the past because obviously you've been here for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been here for 3. You've only experienced life here for 3,
Mm.
and every year around the same time we have the demonstrations of certain pro-life group come here on campus, and I wonder what the reaction was, if there even was a reaction. Because at the same time, this is all we've ever known, but we know that this has been happening every single year of our campus life. I wonder if this was a thing pre-COVID as well, and if so, what was the difference of, you know what I mean? Was there a different reaction? I feel like especially in the world that the political state that we're in right now has created a very polarized, I'm not even gonna say viewpoint, because it's always been very polarized, because how can you meet in between, if we're being so honest?
Right.
But our way of conversation has differed, especially than what it was back then. And I just want to, I wish I could go in the mind of someone back then. And, I could go into my mind, but I was 10. So, so I don't think I care very much.
Go into my life when I was 10.
So, not much would change. But, yeah.
I'm trying to remember when, because, obviously, Roe v. Wade has always been a huge deal in the legislation and, within the general American political landscape.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder, I'm trying to remember, because I really do remember, at some point, I was, a teenager still, and, we started talking about abortion again or something. And, people online were talking about abortion again and being no, this is wrong. Maybe it was never a conversation that came to a stopping point. Maybe I just got older and, was oh, these are things that people are talking about and stuff. But I do wonder, how long, I don't know, I wonder how long they've been coming here and, if it has anything to do, it definitely does, but, if it has anything to do with the fact that, one, we have an ever-evolving political state, and also I feel people have become a lot more extremist. You can't ever really just say your views and go anymore. People just don't really that. There's groups of people who don't really do that. They don't just say their views and go anymore. They really make it a point to, I don't know,
you have to
change
believe
your
it.
mind.
Yeah, I understand advocacy, grassroots, organizations and stuff, and all these things, and making sure that people have information and education, accessibility. However, this whole thing of, standing around with, signs and, belittling people and stuff is just, that's an extremist take, in my opinion.
Mine too.
it's a really extremist take. So I'm like, okay, this isn't about like, this isn't really giving like educational resource vibes. This is giving fear baiting propaganda, in my opinion.
Period.
Do you think that there is a way that we could foster a discussion without like about this, especially because like I don't know, like not even I don't know, I do know we are in a time where this topic is very you're either this or you're that, which I mean it probably has been, like you said, it's probably always been this way, but we just didn't notice because it wasn't being challenged as heavily, if that makes sense, or also we were just kids. we just weren't like exposed to that life yet.
Yeah.
If you were, then like, you know, that's obviously a different story, but like no matter what, even if you were a kid exposed to that, you probably didn't think about the consequences until you got to that age where the consequences do affect you. And so, I mean, it does affect people even who are kids. Sorry. I'm wording this very interestingly. Sorry. However, I was wondering if like, I mean, they're still out there right now. Like, we could literally we can't take y'all out there, but like.
I wish we could though, shoot.
But like, we could literally go outside and talk to one of them. And like, I feel like I know that I'm not gonna get anywhere. But do they think they're gonna get somewhere with me? Like, I just don't understand that.
Yeah. Like, I've said this before. A lot of being politically informed is understanding and knowing your audience. You know what I mean? And I don't think that standing around and yelling at people, how do these images make you feel? And it's like the most graphic of
literally
of cells of
Yeah.
like developing fetus
cells.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's just like that. I don't feel like that's getting us anywhere in the conversation, in the matter, etc. Like all you were doing is making it known to the group of people walking by that you kind of are making yourself out to be an extremist, which if that's your thing, like, you know, America and everything, like,
right.
You do you.
Rah rah.
You
Be yourself,
do you.
In my opinion.
You do you, but it's also like why don't
And you're
why don't you go out and be somebody? Like go get a
Like,
job, go
literally.
get like go become like an educational resource.
They're getting paid.
literally. But my
Uh-huh.
thing is like,
Yeah, they
why
pay.
come to a college campus that where, you know, like it's just like you said, knowing your audience. Why come to a college campus with the most graphic and grotesque images, and you're wearing body cameras and you're set up to do this to get content, to get discourse, but you don't like. I find this very confusing, and like the professors they like it because they want to see students engaging and see see students doing something. I also find that very weird. Only because in this context, with those people and those images, is we can have discourse as a college campus without it demeaning or bringing somebody else down. Like you said earlier, how do we come to the common ground? Well, let's have it as an option and as an option not to do it.
No, literally, like if you don't like it, then don't do it.
Literally,
get
the
one.
golden rule, mama. Where did it go? I just find this entire thing just very confusing. But you know who doesn't find it confusing? The First Amendment.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about that. So basically they're allowed to be here because they're granted the right under the First Amendment to express their beliefs openly in public, regardless of how controversial or unpopular those opinions may be. And here's the thing, obviously there's some limitations to that.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that aren't protected under the First Amendment?
All right, y'all. So some of the things that are not protected under the First Amendment is encouraging others to break the law, immediately, actual threats, and obscenity.
Defamation and fighting words, as well as speech that's a part of a crime, those are not protected under the First Amendment either.
Mm-hmm.
Certain types of commercial speech and misleading speech is also not protected, and so is inciting violence.
Right.
Or speech.
So but looking at these and stuff, what does that mean though?
Okay, so we were kind of talking about this yesterday and kind of looking into it more, and it's not necessarily about I hate to say it. You guys know I hate to say it, but it's not necessarily anymore about how could Central allow this? How could our campus allow this? It's the fact that we are, for one, a government entity, aka a public school, and it's about the policies that allow these organizations and demonstrations on campus. Like, as long as they don't harass, threaten, or intimidate students, staff, faculty, and like they don't disrupt classes, block walkways, or violate just general campus rules about when and where speech is allowed, and not deface property, post materials without permission, or engage in speech that incites violence or breaks the law, then like they're good. So it's like,
Real.
unfortunately,
But,
they
like-
are exercising their rights as much as we are.
Real.
So it's like, okay.
But like, who watches their platforms where they have? Because they're doing this on purpose to get content for their
Really?
little platforms. Yeah, the GoPros and stuff, and like to protect themselves, in my opinion. And
They do it to
who's
protect
watch-
themselves, they said?
well, no, we were been told that they do that and like have the pictures and stuff to create discourse so that they can have content and show people on their side, like, these are the type of people that support abortions, these are the type of people that want you to kill your babies, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, you're doing this on purpose, and it's like they have an agenda that this is not propaganda, but like, hand out the pamphlets and stuff.
low-key
It is propaganda. So it's just like, how
In our opinion.
exactly, in our opinion. So it makes me think, like, how far is too far? In what context do we think about laws in general? Do laws really uphold what's right and what is just and whose idea of justice this is? Or are laws really just to uphold the status quo of whoever's in power? We've seen laws that have been created, like enslavement in the Americas. We know that that's ethically and morally wrong, but the law said it wasn't, so therefore it wasn't. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the same way we think about systematic oppression and racism and all these things.
Yeah.
These are different sub levels of the same structure being made and manipulated to uphold the status quo or the law. So I'm just very confused.
Right. So, okay, so another thing I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about. So, on May 14th, when there was one of the demonstrations from our pro-life, our,
These
our
pro-life
pro-life
divas.
visitors, our pro-life
From a different
visitors.
state.
They're from a different state.
They're not from here at
Where are
all.
they from?
They tour.
Are they
If
not
I
from
remember,
Cali?
They tour.
they're from Cali.
They tour. Okay, Beyonce.
They
Yes.
got a chart of us too. You guys don't see it. It's literally outside of our building hall.
Oh God!
Yeah.
No,
Oh
I didn't see it.
That's it?
That's the chart of us.
That's their charter bus.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, you're
Okay,
blocking
license
my
plate
walkway.
is. I was kidding.
I mean, you're not blocking my walkway, but I'm trying to drive.
No, literally.
Get out of my way.
So on May 14th, there was one of the first days of the demonstration, and Sade and I actually went to go talk to some of
Yes.
our student friends who, not our friends, we don't know them, but you know, everybody's our friend. In the
We're
Glory
friends
Wheel
now,
fam.
period.
In the Glory Wheel
In the
fam.
glory of him.
We went to go talk to some students who were protesting the pro-lifers, and we got to hear a little bit about their opinions, which was really, really interesting. So we talked to 4 of the students as the protest was ending, and we asked them just like their feelings, thoughts, opinions, etc. about the demonstrators. Some of them said that it was their first time seeing the demonstrations on campus since it was their freshman year, while others said that they have seen this multiple years in a row now because they are
They've been.
They've been
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Returners.
They ain't new to this. They true to it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's every year.
So, you know, we asked them what inspires them to stand up, and they talked about how they feel the need to be out here because they have a personal passion for women's rights. One noting how it felt scary that they're fighting for the same reproductive rights that their mothers and grandmothers fought for before them. Another interesting take that we heard one of the students express that a good amount of the pro-lifers she was seeing were men, which she found very offensive. And you got the little quote, y'all. She said, "We shouldn't humanize a clump of cells and give it more rights than me." Low key, y'all. This makes me think of this story I seen. Either it was a story that one of them told us, or it was a story that I seen on Instagram like this morning. This lady.
Me when I forgore.
That part. This lady, in Texas, I believe, she went brain dead, but she still had a fetus in her. So they kept her body alive even after she had died to keep the fetus alive. And to this day, I don't even remember what happened to the fetus. I'm pretty sure it died too.
That is so that is sinister behavior.
Literally.
That is
And-
literally sinister behavior.
So all that money that we put in to make sure that woman was alive, where's that money going to the kids that are struggling to survive?
Exactly. But why
my
are we okay with the defamation and the dehumanization of this woman's body?
To be an incubator for a
To-
fetus that
to-
will not have a mother when it is
literally
born.
will not have a mother, will end up in the same repressive systems that we throw all these kids into now, and it's just gonna feed the
So-
rich.
so-
Feed the rich.
Factory workers. That's literally it.
Literally.
But that's just my opinion.
That's just my opinion. So we asked some of them about this was our post First Amendment talk before we went out to go talk to them, and like we just wanted to know how like they felt about it. We asked them how they felt about the First Amendment right of the pro-lifers and their rights to their opinions and demonstrations. And one of them said, they have as much of a right to be here as I do to protest them being here, which all four of them kind of like agreed with, you know? So I find that really interesting because it's like, okay, like that is so like everything about this like situation and scenario is like incredibly like American coded to me. Like the European mind could never comprehend that like we're out here being like, no, we don't agree with this. You can't say this and stuff. But you know what? Like, all is fair. Like, you have the right to be out here, which, like, it's kind of, like,
Well,
it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting to me.
I had a class, and it was, my one law and justice class, so feel free, sue me. The rest of y'all that are actually in the major, truly, sue me, because I had this one class, and it was about school rights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so then, and it was a bad stump, so. But I was like, I remember a professor did say that this is like there is a theory or like an idea that like discourse is what is needed, or maybe this was like a philosophy, I don't know, but I do remember the idea of like discourse is needed in order for people to like come to a common ground or something like that. So that's why these laws are just here to make it so that way you can come to a common ground without inciting violence or like inciting or like having someone get genuinely hurt, but genuinely hurt in their eyes. You know what I mean? In the quote unquote law's eyes.
Yeah.
But this is like, I do think that they did fathom this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is exactly what they wanted when they made stuff like
they want. They want.
in my opinion, I feel like
what they want you to do.
They want us to believe this.
No, like that's so true. It's so true. And I don't care how much of like the conspiracy theories I sound when I say this. Like, this is what they want. They want us to disagree with each other. They want you to, like, exploit the female reproductive system. Like, that's what they want you to do. Like, it's so like
Literally.
I can't like stress this enough. It's what they want.
they just word it differently and say that there's just different groups that need to advocate for themselves, but really it's just under one mind if you really think about it.
Right.
Only one person is really like thinking about how this is supposed to go, and it's working.
And I also have something that I wanted to say. So I was reading this research report. So obviously, here's the issue with this. It's a small flaw. However, I think this wraps around nicely into the conversation.
Yeah.
So this figure only comes from reported legal abortions. In 2020, since that was the year most recently available for which this information is available. There were 6 reported deaths caused by legally induced abortion. So this means that there was 0.45, less than half of one, deaths per 100,000 abortions. Obviously, this figure does not include illegally done abortions. However, that's my point.
Yeah.
Like, only out of like every 100,000 abortions, like the figures that are presented are not statistically significant enough for us to say having abortions in America is in fact killing and harming women, because it's not. If anything, it's the opposite. It's keeping women safe, but they hate to see it. They hate to see
it's going up, bro.
it.
The thing you mentioned just now before the figure, it made me think of something while you guys were talking. I forgot.
First Amendment.
The laws, how they want us to do this.
Oh yeah, it reminded me of this post I seen. How like there's a new study about how there's something being found in menstrual blood that could be linked to like curing cancer or something. Like there's some type of not a protein or something, but there's just something in our menstrual blood that is linked to being like a positive health curing effect. Not curing effect, but like positive. So like it makes me think of like they're gonna start like taking us and like using our bodies as profiting off of women's bodies. That's what it made me think of. And I was like, wait, it's not funny, but
No,
Well-
don't worry, guys. They would never want to cure cancer.
oh god.
In our opinion.
In our opinion.
From what we've seen based
I
off of
think-
facts.
You know what? There's like 3 conspiracy theories that I kind of like abide by in my life. Not
Just
abide
3.
by, not abide by, but I'm like very conscious of at all times. Big Pharma does not want to cure us.
Exactly. They're just gonna give you medications to prolong the effects
Yeah.
of whatever you're going through.
And this
Yeah.
is
And
due
then
to
call it
facts.
super crazy names so you don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, and then bill your insurance company and call her good until you're
Exactly. And then put you
you're good
through
and done.
put you through actual because they can control the weather. I know they control the weather. And then put you and then put you through situations and then cancel your insurance and then look at you. Ain't got no money. Ain't no house.
And it's not like you can really have the time to research what's going into your body because that's kind of the whole point. We're working
Bro, and
people.
it's like here's my thing. I like low key need to get off the internet at a certain point because it's like everything you do is like bad for you. Have you
Literally.
guys seen those? These things are there's always like women coming online and being like, you've been doing this wrong your entire life. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those videos.
At this
Yeah.
point, everything that I'm doing is wrong. I'm breathing
Yeah.
wrong, guys.
So like, do you think we're ever gonna see a day and age where the majority of this country, like specifically in the continent of America, is like wakes up from the Matrix and like expands their mind?
I think when
No.
we get off our
No.
phones, like if we just like burned our phones or like put them all in the ocean, but like the poor ocean.
I wanted to ask you guys. So if they said conspiracy theory again, if if they said
Struggling.
if somebody came out and said like some really well educated like research team who had a bunch of like sociologists and historians and all these people that create the ultimate group of like people who can really study and research our society and the history and it's linked to emotional satisfaction and like happiness overall, and they said you have to let go of like technology. Okay, not technology in general, but like the gluttonous part of technology. Like,
The materialistic part.
Like, so we're talking about like phones and stuff, or like
No,
like
like-
phones like atomic bombs and like
I mean, like you know how
Tractors.
people used to live in like the 90s, early 2000s. Like you had a separate digital camera and like
Yeah.
a cell phone, and like TikTok wasn't a
wasn't
thing, and
just
you
one
weren't getting
thing.
8-second hits of dopamine out of like what you're
Yeah.
engaging with and stuff, and like just like we have to go back to living like a really simple life through technology, essentially.
do you think
And they said we have to knock everything down. You need to eradicate the gluttonous practices of social media from your life and live like it's 2002 all over again, technology wise, except for like the really good parts that like have advanced our society. I just mean like media and technology consumption on a more personal level. They said if you do exactly all of this, we can go towards eradicating everything horrible in society, which obviously like on the surface level like it doesn't really have a deeper connection, but like it's just like too much to explain. But just based off of what I've asked you, what would you guys say? Would you say, okay, I'm willing to give up this part of my life in order for general and greater society to be happier?
honestly it would be a yeah, but the only question I would pose back to that is if we're not all doing it at the exact same time and we're all eradicating this one thing at the same time, the beliefs that these people hold are not going to be eradicated too. They're just going to be more covert, and we're not going to have the same connection to like
It'd have to be like a I'll do it if you do it situation, but like
For sure.
everybody,
For sure.
everybody.
because that's just gonna make our issues that we see today more heavily and prevalently because of the gluttonous part of social media would be just gone, and we think everything is okay because back in 2002, what was going on? We thought it was sweet. So I don't know. So I think yes, but I think also no.
here's the thing, what I would see,
Yeah.
like, that was not, like, an original idea, by the way. I, like, saw it somewhere. I just want everybody to know that.
No, really.
But I've been, like, I've been, like, asking everybody in my life about this, because I was, like, thinking about it, and it's, like, okay, so the people like us who are, like, very, like
Regular
we
people?
care about, yeah, like, we care about society, we're, like, passionate about social justice, like, we're very, like, radical people and stuff. So it's like if everybody like us said yes, then that's one thing. But I do have a feeling that certain demographics in a certain financial standing or class, etc., would definitely be like, no. No. Like, why would I do that, right? Because it's like there's like that's like the whole part about like being rich is like you want to have better things than the rest of society, obviously. So it's like all that would happen is we would have a big shift in extremism, and like they would live in their own world and bubble about it, and like the other side would kind of live in like their own. Yeah, like everybody would just be living in their own matrix, essentially.
So basically, how we're living right now.
Basically, how we're living right now, without sharing how we're living right now.
Yeah.
But the only thing with that is the difference. The way that I think about systemic racism and people with privilege and money is when I don't like something, I'm gonna talk about it with my friends and be like, man, I don't like this. I'm gonna go to work the next day because I know I got bills to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But when rich people and white people specifically, in my opinion, don't like something, they're gonna make laws. And they're gonna overtake your environment and your community and your system and literally the earth that you're walking on, poison it, poison your food, poison your family, and then you're gonna lose everything. So I think it's too dangerous to live in two separate worlds where I can't watch exactly how you feel about me, because if I have a lack of knowledge and you have a lack of knowledge, you're gonna be even more scared of me than I am of you. Without probable cause.
I'm gonna be so real. It was literally an Instagram Reels. Like,
No, but it's so real.
Instagram Reels like question. No. Like it's like this guy who just talks to his camera, and I watched it.
Were they white? Were they white?
Yeah.
So like that's a thing though. Like for them, it's like okay, let's go back and like. That's like let's go back because I was happy when it was back then. You know, not talking about me. I wouldn't remember if we're being so honest. But like I'm not talking about me. But like for this particular person, okay, I didn't watch the reel. In his particular demographic, they were fine in that time frame, but we were never fine. So like you said, like it is scary to live a life without that information. And without that information is exactly how we were living in that time. So in that time, not everybody, but the white demographic was able to get away with more. There is still things that we're uncovering as historians that white people did to us that we can't even fathom how much they did because they were in charge of the perspective that we have. So we can't even say that let's eradicate all forms of not communication, but all because
well, the thing is, there's social media now. Like it's low key. Like she's popping off. You know, for the most part, like when you curate a certain algorithm and certain stuff is coming your way, because like it's like what you engage with the most, and if like what you engage with the most is informational videos or like creators who talk about academic concepts and stuff, it's like I forgot where I was going with that. And I forgot what you were saying, but
like you can choose in a way.
Oh,
at the same time. You also can't because of the fact that there's still distractions.
Yeah, like that. I was trying to say. Sorry. Like social media is low-key important in those kinds of ways.
We learned more. We learned a lot more. I mean, there's still a lot of things that are being hidden from us.
Right.
But we're able to. But we're able to advocate for ourselves a lot more. We're able to educate other people a lot more, and we can like I said, COVID did suck, and we've mentioned this in previous podcasts, but it did force people to look and wake up.
You know what's a funny fact I think of when I think about COVID? This is not on topic at all, but carbon emissions went down by 1% or something, and
the lakes.
What was happening? Something happened with the emission,
Really?
and it was if it was somebody where it was predicted that if we the entire world stayed in their house for X amount of time, we
2
would,
years or something.
Yeah, we would reverse what's going on right now to the atmosphere and stuff. And I just think that's so funny every time think about it, and like Earth Day and stuff, like we have like free will exists, but also
free will.
like, back to what you were saying, the ways that we think about social media and platforms like Instagram and Snapchat, we think of them as like these companies with these platforms, and these are the only platforms that we have, because we can think of like free will, we can think of social medias as any type of platform that looks like anything at all, but we're so focused and on just Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and YouTube, like that is social media. But social media exists as a realm that's infinite, just as infinite as the internet is, or just as infinite as Google makes you think it. I don't know, but also if we think about places like Instagram and TikTok differently, where we're thinking about it as a platform to share knowledge, even though you can see gluttonous, like really dumb things on there, like
I was calling it gluttonous.
I didn't really look at that word, like very gluttonous.
Word of the podcast,
Gluttonous. One of the 7 sins. Anyways, it makes me think like it doesn't make the weight of the knowledge that I just acquired any different or any less heavy because it was in a 8-second reel, versus if I read it in a dictionary or if I seen it in TikTok. I think we're still operating under the very Western, very European, in my opinion, guise of what knowledge and information has to look like and has to be for it to be valid. I think that the dude talking to his camera posed that question is very valid because it led to this conversation where we're expanding on different types of knowledge and then sharing it on our platform to different types of people
like
in Ellingsburg.
That's what I want social media to be about. It's like we're like, bro, the video literally had like 5,000 likes, I think.
Literally.
And like, I don't think that we need to be putting like these huge big creators on pedestals or like necessarily like constantly passively consuming that information. Like, what happened to following like your local conspiracy theorist?
Because they don't want to.
Yeah.
There's a certain demographic that is very content with where they're at. So if they even challenge, like, oh my God, maybe I'm the problem.
Right. Like, how can I follow somebody's local philosophy professor who just like chills and like talks to himself on camera and stuff? Like, I just like wish that like obviously these are things that exist online and stuff because like you said, social media is so vast. I just wish that like it wasn't just me. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could change people's minds. And like again, that makes me no better than the people who stand outside like
with these graphic images doing the same thing.
Yeah, so it's like at the end of the day, like maybe I really am no different than them, theoretically speaking. But
I mean,
like,
real. I am no different than the
different.
villain.
Right.
None of us are different at all because we want to change each other's minds. But the thing is, one is going to come with harming and hurting somebody and causing emotional and mental distress. And the other one is going to be rooted in love, preservation, and conservation and trying to find your cultural value. I watched this cool podcast. You know, y'all know you talking about Deontay, sir. But he really be preaching that love is the revolution. Everything we do, if we think about it, is rooted in love, self-care, love, fighting for what you believe in, love for your people, love for the earth you walk on and the people that you know are going to be there when you're done fighting. Everything's rooted in love. And all I can see from these anti-love like protests is literally just hatred. It's hatred and hurting other people and demeaning people for where they come from and who they are. It's like I can't understand. I literally cannot understand why you're so mad. Why are you mad? Like to this day.
I still strongly believe that the people who hate the most are the people who are the most capable of love, if we're being... That's just my opinion. I heard that somewhere. Actually, my mom told me that because she said if you can feel so passionately like hating someone, not even hating someone, but hating period, you can feel just as passionately loving. But it comes with like that understanding and that acknowledgement that you are not coming from a place of love. Because honestly, if we're genuinely being so honest, I don't think any of these people are think that they're coming from a place of hate, but they are, because they have people around them validating them and thinking and like telling them, I know that this is coming out of love for something, but it's not. Yes. And until they come to that realization, then that love and that revolution of love is just going to keep spreading. But it starts with a conversation.
Oh, God.
Let's see when y'all can see us next in person. Wait.
What?
Yeah, like at these events.
Okay, So on Wednesday, May 28th, come join us for MOCA, Redefining Legacy and Leadership. That's going to be in Black Hall 139. It's going to be from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And we're going to redefine what legacy and leadership means for us. It's time to reshape our narrative and show that our strength, resilience, and vision are what truly define us.
Yes, sir. Thursday, May 29th, the American Indian Studies is having their end of the year celebration in Dean Hall 104 from 3:30 to 5 p.m. So check us out. Thursday, May 29th, QFAM is having their event for Trans and GNC Find Your People in Black Hall 136 from 2 to 4 p.m. So join QFAM to celebrate trans and gender non-conforming voices throughout history and have some great discussions with fellow students on campus. Pizza and conversation provided, and it's open to all.
Woo.
Yay!
And on Friday, May 30th, the affinity programs that we mentioned earlier, all 3 of them, so Thrive, QFAM, MOCA, they're going to be having a kickback. So join us for a Thrive X QFAM X MOCA kickback on Bardo Lawn from 12 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And join us as we get to know one another and play fun games, and also food will be provided.
Ooh, the girls are going to get to know each other.
Slay. Saturday, May 31st, the Pride Parade downtown will be happening, as well as the BSU end of year celebration in Sue Lombard from 12 to 2 p.m. So y'all get y'all tickets.
Period. Okay, well, as always, if you guys want to continue these conversations with us, you know where to find us. Black Hall 101, open Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. On Fridays, we close at 5. My name is Maya.
And I'm Sade.
And I'm Donna.
Bye.